to the Author's Corner. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am their host, and I am the editor-in-chief of Own It Magazine and Publishing, and also, too, the editor of Lit Magazine, which is a subsidiary of Own It, and it focuses on literacy awareness. And today, we're going to be talking about literacy in a global context, bridging cultural gaps through literature. We're going to be talking about and focusing on literacy without borders, connecting cultures through language and books. And we're so excited because we here at Own It and Lit Magazine have already begun to do just that. Taking center stage and owning it with me is contributing writer Teresa Palmer. And Dr. Doreen Irvin is in the house. How are you doing, ladies?
Hello, good morning, good morning.
We've already tapped into that responsibility of being global and expanding and bridging the gap between cultures by being here in the Dominican Republic and going all around the world and talking about the importance of literacy and literacy awareness. And so I want to digress because and shift it over to I'm gonna punt it to you, Teresa, but punt it to you because we're already doing that here at Own It. Own It is doing it in Spanish, and some of the publications that we've already published, our chapters are both in English and in Spanish. We're getting ready to launch in 2026, Own It magazine in full Spanish, the full issue to be given out and distributed to our subscribers in Spanish. And so really excited about that. And I know, ladies, you're just hearing that news too. But really excited about that and the importance of just expanding and broadening your horizons. Teresa, I digress and I pivoted to you because what are you doing in the literacy world and becoming global?
Well, bonjour, bonsoir, mes amis, mes collègues. I've been studying French for a while. And I do it because I enjoy the culture. And what I've been finding is there's book study or study, formal study, and then there's everyday language. So now I'm really doing the everyday language. And in order to do that, you have to think that language, which isn't easy because I've been speaking English for 71 years of my life. And to switch that to French is not that easy, but it's understanding the culture. How do the French people think? Well, that's where things like literature, movies, Netflix is great for international films, for international series, where you get a feel for why is this culture the way it is? What have they gone through? What has led them to the point of where they are at now? What do the people do on a day-to-day basis? How do they shop? How do they do things? Not only food, but what type of things do they watch? What type of movies do they go to? What is life like for an everyday person, whether they be in, South America, North America, France, Europe, Eastern Europe, Western Europe? What do people do? And I think the other thing is that there's so much interaction with people around the world. And I would say anybody studying any language or wanting to join a group online. I'm a Toastmaster, and I've been a Toastmaster for over 20 years. I've joined a French-speaking Toastmasters club. Is it difficult? Absolutely, because I'm with Francophones, which are native French speakers who speak with full accent, who speak rapidly, and who use familiar and slang terms. Just like I do in English, I don't speak formal English. The French don't speak formal French when they're talking every day. So I'm learning a whole new, different culture out there. I'm learning the world and I'm putting myself out there. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely. There's times that I can't answer. We have impromptu speaking, which is off the cuff speaking, and it's called table topics. Well, when somebody gives you a question in French, they do translate it into English for you, but you have to respond in French. And that's a challenge. And sometimes I do part French, part English, because I just don't have all those words, those everyday words that would seem simple, but they're really not when you're not using them every day and you're not interacting. So I would tell everybody, get global, go online around the world. If you're a Toastmaster, join an international club. Join a club online where you're going to meet people from all over the world, all different languages. Study a language for the heck of it. There's plenty of things online now where they're reasonably priced. There's podcasts, there's all kinds of things to learn the language. So pick a language, pick something, and enjoy yourself with it. And that's how we bridge the gap, is through our curiosity about what else is going on in the world. And we could tap into that now through the internet. It's not that you have to travel. Travel is great, but sometimes you can't. Travel's expensive. There's times that you can't do things, but you could still connect globally with people and get a sense of what is their culture like, what do they do, and how also could we contribute to other cultures? What is it that we could do, that we could contribute to other cultures? Is it through our writing? Is it through our speaking? And it doesn't even have to be the same language. It could be you could speak in your own language and then it gets translated into another language. The same thing with books. When I published my book, Heal Your Heart from Within, I was thinking about doing it more internationally. And I had a very good publisher that said, if you don't really understand that language that it's going to go into, there's no direct translation. So you would literally have to think of your book in that other language if that's what you wanted to do. It's not enough to just say, okay, here's the book in English. Let's do it in Italian, say, or something like that. You have to really understand that there's no direct translation with formal speech and with literature. And that's why sometimes you read something. If I read something in French, I never understand it because it's the formal French. And a lot of it is the Renaissance French, which the grammar and all isn't what we use in everyday speaking. But those famous novels out there, in those other languages, a lot of them are written from Renaissance times, from different times. So that's another thing that we need to understand, that it's not just a matter of picking up a book or doing a talk or doing something and say, okay, I could reach the world. It's giving thought to that. How can I reach the world with that? What do I need to do to reach the world with that? And then get the help. I'm sure with your Spanish issues of Own It, I write for Own It. I'm sure what I'm writing in English is not a direct translation into Spanish, that there has to be that editing of it and somebody saying, okay, Teresa's concept is intuition, but how are we putting that now into that Spanish language and that Spanish culture? Because even intuition could mean different things to different people and different cultures. So that's something that we really have to be aware of, is how do we come off to other cultures? There's ways of doing it, and just being sensitive to other cultures and getting to know people from around the world. The best way to do that is online. We're doing it right now. So thank you.
Awesome, awesome. You said a lot of things. You shared a lot of information, and being living in another culture, me being submerged here in the Dominican Republic, and also to having guests coming in, having the different conferences and the different events, and having to help Americans when they come in to adjust to the living here, because it's different to come and visit. to live and to be immersed into a different culture is something that you do get exactly what you're saying. You do get the firsthand knowledge of, one, that they don't talk, they don't speak in the formal. So when you're listening to these different apps and these different ways of learning a new language, a lot of times they are formal. So when you get ready to do all of that mastery inside the app or inside the environment, the learning environment for the new language, you master that. Because I mastered Duolingo. I get all 100s in Duolingo. Then I go out on the street, it's like, what? That is not what Duolingo sounds like. That is not what it sounds like. So you do. And then you have different dialects within a culture. So it's not just that they have a singular way. It's just like in the US, you know, you have Spanish, but you have Mexican, you have Puerto Rican. So you have different dialects within the Spanish culture that emerge. And I remember a good friend of mine was explaining to me that it's at least 41 or 47 different dialects that come from the Spanish language itself, in different ways that they sound. It's really, really different here because it is. Some of them are like rough. The sound and how they pronounce things is like really, really rough. And then you have some that are eloquent and smooth and relaxing and all of that. So you have to really, really train your ear to, you have to want to do it, right? You have to have enough respect and, just, adoration for the culture too, and adoration for being international and global. You have that. There's a the mindset and an attitude that comes from the appreciation, and then also to being open. So being here in the Dominican Republic, they speak Patois, which is a form of French, and then they also speak Creole. So you have them speaking German, Swedish, Italian. I have a good friend here, and I'm going to do a shout out, Radhika. Radhika is a woman that had befriended here. She comes in seasons she has a place here, but she comes seasonally. And I can watch her. And even with Sabine, who's one of our contributing writers, you talk about mindset, right? You talk about the difficulty of staying within the speaking of the language, right? So you go from French back to English because you're just like, I can't figure it out. Well, Radhika speaks Romanian. She speaks Italian. I'm not sure if she speaks German, but she speaks Spanish, full Spanish, and she's self-taught. But when you see her navigate from one language to the other and to another, you're just like, whoa, that's, at first sight, you're just like, they just move within that transition of different languages. But when you live here and you're with them over a period of time, speaking multiple languages can be challenging because they have to literally shift from one method of thinking and speaking to a whole nother level of speaking. So there's a big transitional process that goes on right before you. And you don't realize it because you're like, thank God she's speaking in English. Right? So now I can understand everything. But there is a dynamic that happens when you go back and forth between the language. Once you become fluent in it, there is a conscious shift. And it's beautiful when we're open to it because being a U.S. citizen, we're not taught. I know that I've never been really like urged to speak another language. Growing up, we just knew that it was an elective and that we needed it in order for us to go to the next level in school. And so we did what we could do to pass it. but we never really got into the heartbeat of it unless the teachers make a big difference. Unless the teacher really grabbed a hold of you and invoked and engaged you to take it to another level. Teachers, if they just say, okay, well, this is the lesson, you got to learn the lesson, and that's it. But I've had teachers that awoke in me right in the midst of being in a classroom environment that made me just get fully immersed and engaged in the subject. But I know as a U.S. citizen, that has not been our priority. We talk about being bilingual, but we don't make it a priority. I don't think that we push it enough. And to be here in what is no longer considered a third world country, but has the traits of still being a third world country, these folks speak multiple languages, and here we are ahead of the game, and it's not a priority. We expect folks to speak English. That's comfortable for us, but it's more smart of us to want to and encourage us to speak multiple languages. It should be something that we talk about on a more regular basis, so that when we go to other countries, we let them know the love and the respect that we have for them. Because when we come humble, right? Because we're not going to sound like them, but we come humble to say, hey, listen, I love your culture. I love what you're doing. You're doing here, the foods, because I love all kinds of foods. So I love and have respect for so many different cultures, because food is a love language. And it's transferable to all that is open to experience it. And it's the beginning of falling in love with a people. And so I just being here in the DR and just seeing just how individuals have to, go from one language to another language, to another language, and to another language. And to be so impressed with how the people know multiple languages is amazing, is a real amazing. And so now I'm going to digress, because I just had to hit on the three things. One is having patience with yourself, and also to the culture that you're immersing yourself into. Also being relatable, making sure that there's relatability, that you're relating to the culture, relating to the language, and then the mind shift. Just giving yourself patience, because it is a lot. It's a lot to learn it. It's a lot to listen. You have to, because sometimes I just listen, and just so that I can start picking up the different words that are familiar to me. Because as you listen to, and less talking yourself, just listen, you become more and more and more familiar with words that you're already getting familiar with. You become more and more adaptable to those, and you can pick up the language. And so I'm going to pivot over to Dr. Urban. Thank you so much for being patient with me as I express, because I'm here embedded in a culture, and I am trying my best to not only learn the language myself, but also like hear and listen, so that I can begin to understand when the language is being spoken to me. Dr. Durant.
Oh, you guys said a lot. First of all, I need to focus on Teresa is 71 years old. You look marvelous. I was like blown away. I'm thinking we about the same age. You look phenomenal, ma'am. I just need to save that so we can see you have taken very good care of your health, yourself, and your health. You know, I've been sitting here, and learning another language has always been my desire. I actually started out in Philadelphia in middle school learning Italian, because we lived in an Italian neighborhood. And the ironic thing is, I was a star in an Italian play at the University of Pennsylvania. And when I tell you, when this group of African American children walked on that stage, there was silence throughout the whole building, because everyone else in the building was not African American. But
Wow.
when we started speaking, and they could see that we had learned our craft. Now, I've been a comedian all my life, and of course, they had me a comedian in Italian, and it was a play about a passport. And the one line that I spoke, oh, I spoke several, but I remember this line because the audience erupted in laughter. And the line was, I still remember it, "Hai ragione, è brutta." And it said, "You're right, it's ugly." I was talking about his passport. But that has stuck with me all these years. That was in 1975, and I still remember it. And my friend James and I, we get together and we remember those lines that we said. Him and I were the stars. I was the person that he was sharing with how ugly his passport was. Bringing that back to 2024, when I went to the Dominican Republic, I felt so out of place because I could not converse with the people. And I said to Kimberly, I said, I have got to learn Spanish. I've been saying this for a long time. I pick up here and there. My students are often amazed when they say something. I said, "Oh, sweetie, I know what that means. And I think you better not say that again." And they're like, "How do you know that?" I was like, I've been around y'all long enough. I've picked up words. In the meetings, parents will say something. I go, "Oh, yes, I know what that means." And I'll respond in English or sometimes try to respond in Spanish, only to make them laugh because they think it's hysterical when I try to speak Spanish. But I am determined that I'm going to learn Spanish because I want to be able to speak with those that I come in contact with. I fell in love with San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I intend to go there frequently. And one year I kept telling my mother how wonderful San Juan was. So I actually found a cruise that was leaving from Puerto Rico, and we went on this 9-night cruise, and we were in this restaurant, and no one in the restaurant spoke English.
Yep.
So we ordered this meal. We ordered enough food for 6 people, and we were leaving there to go to the cruise. So we couldn't take any of the food with us. And we finally had to tell them, "No mas, no mas, don't bring any more," because they were still bringing food. We had no idea what we ordered, but it was a wonderful moment that I got to share with my mom, especially, my mom passed on, that I can just laugh about because we just kept laughing because they just kept bringing food and bringing food and bringing food. And it was so funny, but it was just another reason that I know we need to learn language. And I went back to my school because at that time I had 3 secretaries that spoke Spanish. And I told them, I needed one of y'all with me. I have got to learn the language. So my goal for next year, and I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere so y'all can hold me to it. For my project, for my doctoral degree, I wrote a children's ministry curriculum, but it was just for 6 weeks. My goal is to go back and I'm going to write that curriculum for the entire year. And the first language that is going to be translated in is going to be Spanish.
Yes.
Now, a prophet has already prophesied that it's going to go global in many languages. So I'm excited about that. But I want to be able to share with my brothers and sisters who speak Spanish because they're relevant. We have those Spanish speaking members in our church, and sometimes, after service, we'll talk about what the pastor was saying. Majority of they understand, but there are some words that they don't. And so I like the fact that I can translate it for them, but I want to be one of those individuals that when they come to the church, like they have the UN building, we have those headsets on and we're translating everything in Spanish. That's where I want us to be. So I'm excited about putting it out there in the universe that yes, I am going to learn Spanish. That's my goal. I'm going to start it January 2026.
Yes. Yes.
It's,
Awesome.
it's needed. And we do so much with other cultures. And we expect when they come to America to learn English. Shouldn't it be the same? If we're going to go visit their country, we ought to learn their language so we can communicate with them. So that is going to be my goal. And Marisa, I do want you to know that we have made great gains in the United States in the education realm that students have to take several years of a foreign language just to graduate.
Yes. Yes.
So that is exciting that we've gotten to that point. So every child in the United States will graduate with several years of another language.
Yeah, and with the message saying that we are immersed in a global
Yes,
society. We are
yes.
no longer singular. We are global. Even to the point where even if you can't travel, they have the metaverse where you put the goggles on. You did the goggles with Dr. Berger,
Yes.
that you can actually be in a location and interact with people through these goggles. So now you don't have a choice. The things that we've been watching that have been
Yeah.
fantasy are now becoming reality of
Yes, ma'am.
how we can, just emerge ourselves in another world while still being in the same room and in the same country that we're in. That's amazing that we could do that because everyone can't travel. Everyone can't get on a plane and leave the country and go other places. And some places is very far. Travel is it can be convenient for some people, and some people they just don't like it. Going to Dubai, that was a lot to be on a plane and traveling for 17, 18, 20 hours.
Oh, wow.
Really, it took me a whole day to really get to Dubai with all of the coming into New York from the Dominican Republic, then going from New York into Saudi Arabia, and then to Dubai. That's a lot of travel when you're not physically there, but you feel like it when you put those goggles on. You feel like you're in the room, you're experiencing it. For those who can't take that rigorous travel journey. But I want to digress back to what you were saying as we begin to close out is it is, like I remember going to the gym and a young guy, the trainer in the gym, would always talk to me about. He said, "Marisa, when you get into the gym and you're on that treadmill, you're gone. You're so focused. You're so focused." And so I let him hear what I was listening to, and it was worship music. It was,
Mhm.
just Christian, the upbeat. I'm on the treadmill. I need the energy. I need to not pay attention to being on a treadmill and pay attention on something that's going to take up that 15 to 25 minutes, right? So I'm listening to that. And if I'm listening to it and I'm a listener, I'm not someone who just passively, no, I'm listening. I'm getting I'm getting embedded with the lyrics. I'm owning the lyrics for myself and my journey and my day. And so he would talk to me a lot about Christianity. And then I said to him, I said, why have you not invited me to your church? So he says to me, well, Marisa, you don't speak Spanish. I said, it doesn't matter. The Spirit of the Lord is the Spirit of the Lord. And if he's present, then I'm going to feel it. And not only that, I have to be immersed in order for you to
Yes.
really own the language. Own the language. You have to be immersed in it. That means like that like Dr. Teresa, we're going to claim it. Dr. Teresa said, she said that you have to immerse yourself. She joined she does a French Toastmasters. That is saying she's serious and she's
Mhm.
honoring it, she's respecting it. And as awkward, as uncomfortable as you may feel, because when you learn anything new, there's always that awkward stage because you're wobbling all over the place, it looks kind of silly or funny. But when you own that as part of the transitioning into fluency, into proficiency, you'll get past feeling awkward, embarrassed, or anything like that because you are focused on the end results and becoming proficient in speaking the language. And so I have on a regular basis attended a full Spanish speaking church with no headphones, no nothing, just
Mhm.
being led by the Spirit of God, listening, training my
Mhm.
ear to listen to another language. Also, too, in the spirit, having transferring it, asking the Holy Spirit to help me to
Yes.
seal this in, transfer it, help my brain because I'm older, getting ready to be 57 in October. And we get older learning is not like younger learning. It takes a little bit more effort for you to get it. And so just emerging and not being and not counting that robbery to submerge yourself into the culture, be a little uncomfortable. I even, instead of just doing the translation, I also read the translation out loud. Why do I
Mm,
read the translation? Not just relying on the system or the app or anything to translate it for me, because that gets easy. But I also read it out loud. Why am I reading it out loud? So that I begin to pick up the dialect. Mucho gusto, está bien, siempre, thank you, always, mi amor, my love. So just trying to really embed myself into the language, and also to allowing myself to relax and receive the dialect, right? It's all about your mental state. It's all about being open, and also too, tranquila, relax, so that you can actually receive it. When you get all intense and you're worried and you're embarrassed and you're uncomfortable, you blocking the transformational learning that takes place. Open yourself up, relax, be cool with not sounding right, be cool with not being perfect, because perfection and proficiency will come. And the more
mm,
relaxed you are, the more open you are, and the more you can receive the authenticity of the language and how to speak it. And that's important. And my mom taught me that in giving birth to my children. She said, Marisa, when the contractions come, that's a part of the process. And when you tense up, you're blocking the process. She said, Marisa, relax, and the intensity of the pain will decrease. I'm telling you, I took that mindset and I apply it to everything. Not just childbirth, because I ain't have no more babies. To everything. Tranquila, relax, allow yourself to be open to receive the transfer of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and the full proficiency of what you're looking to learn. That would be my closing statement. Ladies, let me hear something. 1 minute. Teresa, 1 minute. Doctor, give your closing statements.
Closing
Elephant
statement:
box.
embrace the language, embrace the culture, embrace the world. Know that we're in a diverse culture. Everything is available to us via the internet to explore, and use that exploration. Try something new, get out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself, because that's where the growth is, whether it be a language, whether it be anything. The growth comes in challenging yourself, getting out of your comfort zone, making the mistakes. You could only be successful when you fail. So if there's no failure, there's no success.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome.
awesome. I agree with everything that Teresa said. I had the privilege of working in schools where over 200 different languages were spoken. And so I'm pushing myself out into this global opportunity to learn another language. I did a wedding for one of my teachers, and very few of the people in the audience spoke English, so there was a translation. But I'm going to declare I will be able to do a wedding, and I will be able to speak their language throughout the whole ceremony, and I'll do my own translation. And I am believing that it's time to go global. As Teresa said, it is time to embrace other things, that new things, something new. God said, behold, I'm doing a new thing. And so I'm embracing that new thing, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. God bless you.
God bless you. So today we were talking about literacy in a global context, bridging cultures through language. Call to action is to learn a new language or volunteer for a language exchange program. Read a book by an international author or in translation. Also, too, Radhika reads books that are in another language, and that's another way that she learns and masters the fluency in speaking multiple languages. So I just want to I'm looking forward to, because I said to Radhika, I have got to interview you. So I'm looking forward to interviewing her really, 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 really soon. And she feeds me. I'm trying to lose weight and she's trying to feed me. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for chiming in with us today. We are looking forward to seeing you guys next time. And listen, pick up a language. Whatever language it is, it doesn't have to be popular. Pick it up and then get submerged into the culture. We love you. Take care. Be blessed. And we're out.